Yep.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct.
Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast.
What the hell? Eric just dipped out on it. Anyway, this is the Black Powder Podcast, the gold standard in Libertarian podcast. I am one of your hosts tonight, Marcus Matthews, the only real Libertarian. And as usual, I am joined by one of my best friends in the Liberty movement. I call him a brother. We have some very intense pregame conversations I wish you could be part of, but I think we would have problems with employment if you actually heard what we said. Eric Parker, Bull Liberty, how you doing, my good man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. For the record, we didn't say anything with a hard R in the pregame. But I'm just kidding. So yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm really excited about this episode tonight, and we don't got to jump right in. But
Well,
I
wanna
just want.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to post our first comment of the night from Addison for Liberty. I'm not sure. At any rate,
who is that? Who is that?
Yeah, who is that? Is Marcus the only real Libertarian? Sounds like he's playing favorite. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And yes, my favorite is me. So
someone's gotta like Marcus, and it's himself.
But no, one of my best friends, Terry, she's here. She says hello. You know, I don't know why I can't get away from the state of Florida. This seems it haunts me. The state of Florida just haunts me. And I'm not sure why. So, I don't know, Eric.
As much as I didn't want to get away from the state of Florida, here I am in North Carolina. But that's kind of why I'm excited about this episode. So, a lot of you know, I ran for Jacksonville City Council in 2023 for At-Large 1. And our guest, our candidate tonight, is running for Jacksonville City Council At-Large 1 as a Libertarian, and she's running in a special election instead of it being in 2027. And if my math's correct, it's going to be this year, 2026. We're gonna talk about her campaign. Marcus, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but if you want to bring her out from backstage, go ahead.
You didn't even introduce her.
What's Addison Patrick, and I want to know, is the Liberty your actual middle name, and will that be on the ballot?
I really wanted to say, if I told you, I'd have to kill you, but
do it.
But my name will be on the ballot like this, along with the letters LPF in parentheses next to it. It is not my legal name. However, it is my stage name.
Gotcha. Yeah. And anyone that follows her on social media, Marcus, once again, not trying to tell you what to do, but if you got some links to her websites, whatever, go and put them up.
I'm always ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
I'm assuming if you go to this link, you can find places to click on all of Addison's social media, and you'll see she's got Addison Liberty Patrick all over, everywhere you can find her. Correct me if I'm wrong, Addison.
That's correct.
All right.
You're always right, Eric.
I'm not always right.
I'm sorry. I have to interject here. Don't ever say that again on this podcast, that Eric is always correct. That's a bold-faced fable.
Well, it could be a
Marcus is
misnomer
always
here.
correct too. Can't two things be true at once?
No,
Not
no.
that one time we had a debate, but other than
Flattery
that,
is not
no.
getting me anywhere. Okay, noted. Noted.
We're
I
keeping it
just-
real.
Yeah,
We're
no.
keeping it real here.
It is all
All
good.
right. So I kind of gave you a little bit of an intro, but Addison, we always like to start the podcast off with kind of the same question. A chance for you to introduce yourself. 3-part question. What was your aha moment when you realized I'm a libertarian? When did you decide to join the Libertarian Party and why? And when and what made you decide to run for office in this election as a registered libertarian and why?
Sure. So I decided that I was a libertarian when, number one, I didn't quite fit in with any of the other groups. And then also I was reading, got down a rabbit hole, just picture me with like a little tinfoil hat on, reading post-apocalyptic fiction. There was a book series that started with a book called 1 Second After, written by John Forstein. It's actually based in North Carolina, up in the Asheville area near Montreat College, if you've heard of that. And it was essentially, don't want to spoil it all, but EMP happened, pandemonium, how they survived, and how nobody's coming to rescue you. And so, then that spun off to reading more book series, one called Going Home by Angery, Angery, American, my friend in Russell County, Virginia, where I grew up. Hey, Free. Franklin Horton, he writes some series too. He actually writes full time now, like really, really good books. So I just started reading those things. I started getting involved in things regarding self-sustainability. If you know me now, you would probably raise your eyebrows. But believe it or not, before I injured my leg, I thought that I was going to be a homesteader. That was what I was supposed to be doing before I moved to Florida. Been to homesteading conferences, talk about raising chickens, keeping bees, like all of those things. So I would not need to work for anybody else. And so I would not need the government like for anything. So that's kind of a long-winded thing there. Let's see. When did I decide to join? I joined in 2018 after I met up with the Libertarian Party of Duval County. I was very excited to meet with them. There was a whopping, 6-8 people at that meeting. I think it was mostly men, if not all men, really aside from me. And after that meeting, I was kind of voluntold that I was going to be vice chair. So I got through in, feet to the fire. And then I was chair. And then I decided to run for office when I came back to Jacksonville last year and got involved in local government, started speaking at city council after seeing things that were really wrong, and decided that, as a regular person, that I want to show that a regular person can run for local office, that you don't have to be super wealthy. You don't have to have a fancy title. You don't have to be, an attorney, a doctor, like anything like that. Because, I feel like I'm pretty much in touch with what the average person deals with. And I wanted to represent that. So here we are today.
Awesome.
Is it my
Marcus, yep, it's your turn, Marcus. If you want to have it, you got it.
What are the from a libertarian perspective, what are your main issues that you are trying to bring to the city of Jacksonville?
Yeah. So I'm focusing on the things that are the most important things here in the city of Jacksonville. So we're talking about housing, affordability, number one, growth, development, whatever you want to call that there. And number three, public safety. And then on public safety, I'm focusing on making sure that they are transparent and that we're getting the records we're asking for. And I want to focus on fair treatment of people and things like that.
Gotcha.
Now, I sent the fellas, Tub couldn't make it tonight. He had a speaking engagement that he didn't speak at. But I sent them a photo today of a flock camera in the city where I live that I looked around. I was like, there are 3 flock cameras at this intersection.
Yep.
And then as I'm driving around the city, because I also work in the city, and I'm driving around, I'm like, these sons of bitches is everywhere. There was one that looked like it was pointing. Does Jacksonville have a program like that? And I don't even have to ask if you would support that, because I know that's a hard no. But does Jacksonville, when you say public safety, would you be? Let me ask you, or would you be open to that idea?
No, and we've got them out here, and people speak at city council about it, that everywhere they go, they see these cameras and they're being tracked, and they're, outwardly saying that they are supportive of people in other locales who are there, like not here. I haven't seen it here, but there's like sheriff's deputies in other places in the state that are allegedly hanging up like bags and stuff like over the camera so they can't see anything. I think that's amazing. I don't like the license plate readers. I think all of that is, just government mass surveillance. It's an invasion of privacy. To me, that's like they're just coming in without a warrant.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, it's sickening. I don't understand why Americans are fine with this. And surprisingly, when I was thinking about it today, I was like, this is not a Democrat or a Republican issue as far as liberty goes, because Democrats and Republicans both agree on this. This is an American citizen of this republic issue, because we're allowing the government to track us and do Lord knows what with that data. And there is no accountability whatsoever for these people that are basically making sure we're where we're supposed to be. And that's what I think about it. So I'm very interested in city politics currently, just because of that. And my city is 43 square miles, and they just bought a helicopter, while LAPD just did a study saying helicopters aren't really making a difference, especially with drone technology readily available. The city's had drones for years, and they can provide the perspective any police officer needs and the communications during any type of emergencies. I hate the wasteful spending of cities, and that's why I think it's so important that politics stays at a local level and starts at a local level.
So
agreed.
Go ahead, Addison. Sorry.
I was just saying agreed. And you're talking about, helicopters, and funny enough, in Wichita, Kansas, shout out to my girls in Wichita. We were on a podcast together recently, and they're talking about how they have purchased in Wichita, Kansas, a robotic police dog.
Oh, geez.
Oh my God.
So what are they doing with all of our data? They're training the machines to come for us. I Am Legend, was that what it was? Was it I Am Legend that they?
That was the zombie one.
Or was it iRobot?
Well, iRobot.
Yes.
With Will Smith. iRobot. Yeah.
I'm opting out. No, thank you.
Can I say something to the robotic dog and robots? There are 50 Beowulf AR-15 uppers that are readily available. The magazines are standard 30-round magazines. They only hold 10 rounds of 50 Beowulf. America.
How much is that upper, and where can I find it? And can we get them to be a sponsor?
All I'm saying is America's mass fascination with the 5.56/223 are not going to be sufficient enough for robots, and you need to up your game. So that's my public service announcement for this week.
What about a 12-gauge slug? You think that'll work?
That'll work. That will work, because it's going to dump enough kinetic energy into that where you're going to have
you got to get the electronics and zap them.
Well, I mean, if we can find EMP guns, but I'm pretty sure they probably already have shielding. But if you're just using energy-based weapons, I think you should be okay. Anyway, we're going to move it along from this anarchist perspective.
Well, back to public safety in the Jacksonville sense, and is so that people understand, you're running for at-large in Jacksonville. Is there a different feeling when you get into different areas about how well JSO is doing, or warrantless infringements on our rights, all of that. Civil liberties, when we're talking about public safety, does that get brought up everywhere you're meeting people, or is it just in certain pockets?
Most people who are bringing up JSO live in areas that have higher crime rates. And they also are not just bringing up policing in terms of they need to do better. They also don't like to feel like they're being surveilled either, like just being positioned outside to try to catch people doing stuff is I think how they also feel. So that's an interesting dichotomy to think of, like where is the fine line for people to feel like they are seeing enough of what they want to see to make them feel safe without being, watched.
Gotcha. And now, as far as I was going to get back into, unless Marcus, if I'm pivoting away from public safety and crime, policing, that it's going to mess up your next statement. So
no,
all right,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say your other major issue or top two was affordability, maybe specifically affordability with housing.
Correct.
Now, any organizations or anyone you're volunteer with, do you have a platform? Do you have some policies that you're hoping to implement once you're in office that could potentially help with housing affordability?
Well, there's one thing that I want to bring up right now. If anybody's watching that's time sensitive, there is a grant from the state called SHIP, SHIP, and Jacksonville is sitting on millions of dollars from 2023 through, I believe, 2025 that needs to be allocated by the end of June. A portion of it needs to be allocated by the end of June, or otherwise the city's going to take it back. And it's supposed to be earmarked for affordable housing. So seeing, 20 something, pieces of quasi judicial legislation or whatever it was on the, 59-page agenda at the last city council meeting, I was like, what is going on here? This is weird. These are all like very similar. What is this? And it's that they weren't done with those. So I encouraged people to reach out to city council and get them to allocate that money ASAP. As far as specific policies, I've been trying to get together with a group of people. We are across party lines trying to have everybody a little bit represented, older, younger, various races, various political parties to come together and talk about what we think would be good solutions for housing are. So that's kind of what I want to get into, because everybody lives in different areas. I think breaking down the barriers and having people feel comfortable talking about their opinions and not having them shot down, just because it could be perceived as partisan is like the biggest part of this. And I think that's where we're really going to get somewhere. I want to know what people think. And I know that a lot of people in certain areas do not want continued development. They don't want another McDonald's. They don't want another Starbucks. And people who live out on like up on my side of town, like near this Black Hammock Island, we have heard environmental studies, that it is not good to continue developing certain parts of that. So we need to be backing off. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then also digging into how people feel about lessening zoning classifications, because that gets very layered and confusing. So I'm starting to put feelers out there to see, without scaring people, how people would feel about something different for zoning.
All right. So I got a comment that I would like you to respond to, and then I have a question for you. So we'll go with the comment first from our good friend D. Duval establishment GOP still remembers the conservatives who supported Eric Parker, who set a record for third. You know what? I should have read that comment a little bit more, because I don't like giving Eric credit for anything, because then he thinks he's the big guy, wants to throw it in my face. That,
Look,
I never ran. Blah,
for the
blah,
record,
blah.
Tubb is the first one that usually brings up you never ran, but I just confirm his analysis. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So, do you want to? We spoke a little bit about this in a pregame. Do you want to tell everybody why that that is relevant in this race, so to speak? Not getting into too much
You don't,
detail.
yeah.
Yeah,
Leave
we're
out
not.
as much as you want.
Yeah,
You don't got to
leave out.
touch on everything.
Yeah.
So the first really big town hall event that I went to was to discuss illegal redlining, policies from before and how we navigate those things through a neighborhood bill of rights. So a lot of people attended that meeting. I ran into some people that Eric, there, who I didn't know at the time. And they were like, we know Eric. We like Eric. And these Republicans got in trouble for supporting him. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not really sure what my response is, supposed to be at that time. But I just continued to hear that there are, Republicans that are friendlies, and that is creating some problems here because as I was mentioning to them earlier, Florida Politics continues to publish articles mentioning who's qualified for this at-large one special election. And they keep saying, Addison Liberty Patrick has raised blah, blah, blah money, and says libertarians can perform better than their party registration would indicate, as evidenced by Eric Parker's 2023 run, where he got 34.8% or something like that of the vote in a two-way race against Terrence Freeman, right? So now every time they post that, it's like target, every time.
So, and I kind of want to, we can come back to policy and stuff, but this is a good segue to get into the stuff I'm excited about, the politics of it, the race itself, the gamesmanship, but your opponent, or not your opponent. So for everyone that needs to know this, Addison, you're actually running in a special election because Terrence Freeman, my opponent, a one-term city councilman, is dropping out to run, I think, for state senate or something. He's trying to climb the political ladder. I just want Jacksonville to know, had you just voted Libertarian, I'd still be living there. I wouldn't have moved to North Carolina. I wouldn't have tucked tail and ran. But I'd still been there, and I would have stayed for my full term and ran for re-election for a second term. But thankfully, there's a Libertarian hopefully on the ballot for this special election. Can you kind of get into the decision-making process? And I want you to really talk about how you were actually originally running for the general election, which would have been next year, and how plans changed and how difficult it was to get on the ballot and everything. Just from the beginning to the end, tell us your story about when you decided to run and what that looked like and how things have changed very quickly. And then whatever else.
So after going to city council for several months and listening before I said anything, and then going and speaking and meeting people and starting to build relationships with people, and realizing that we have so much more in common when we just meet and talk face to face than everyone, the uniparty, whatever, would like us to believe. We are not that different. Sometimes, I was noticing that we want to get to the same end goal. It's just how we get there, we think about differently. And I think that's fine. I think we can negotiate and compromise on that. But anyway, so I got in the race in February officially, and almost immediately went to city council and called out the existing leadership for being corrupt and told them that they need to step down from office, and explain to them why. And then I went to a neighborhood meeting and told people how they remove people from office, cited the statutes, gave them things to read, because we have a couple of people who are on city council who are under investigation by the state. That is one of the reasons why I decided to get in. Those people are also endorsing my opponent, by the way. So let's see. I went and filed, I'm doing my thing. I'm out and about. Filed for 2027, and that is the regular 4-year city council term. So we're doing that. Then catch wind that, Terrence is going to resign to run, for state office. So I was notified officially like 2 weeks, I believe, before the qualifying deadline. that I needed to have all of my stuff done. So on the back end, I have to go in and merge, because I wanted to take that money and move it over, merge campaign accounts and get on the phone even more so than before and be fundraising so I could get on the ballot. Then I go to the office to qualify and I filmed the whole thing. It's extremely confusing. The staff is great. They pretty much know what they're doing for the most part, but my special election and our specific Libertarian Party predicament when it comes to party assessment fees, like that threw them off. There's one page I signed, that says something about it being partisan race. One page I signed that says something about it not, just paperwork after paperwork. And then there's some ambiguity in some of the language on some of the things that I signed, and we'll talk about that a little later too. So I moved my campaign. It'll say, if you go look, redesignated for the special election, which is August 18th. Additionally, the 2027 election is still happening, friends. So whoever gets in office, whether it's August 18th or through the runoff in November, we turn right back around and we gear up to qualify by January for the March 2027 election. And that will be a full 4-year term.
Right. So I wanted to ask you this. As you're out there campaigning, what do you find as the greatest barrier to people actually voting for Libertarian? What do you get the feedback from them when you go out there and talk to Joe Schmo?
A lot of Democrats refer to us as Republican light. Or worse. I've seen it in the comments where it's not even necessarily specifically about me, but like on the state party webpage or the county party webpage, they'll say something about it. And I'm like, hi, excuse me. No, I'm not. So, I number one, I'm constantly trying to define and educate what a libertarian actually is before I can even, and I think Ted would probably agree with me too, before you can even really start talking to people about what you want to do. So it's that education piece. It's setting myself apart. I'm the only woman right now in the state of Florida running for Libertarian office. And of course, the only one in Duval County. So I have used that, too, as a springboard to, get in front of people and say, hey, like I have a woman's perspective and I'm a Libertarian. I know that all the other Libertarians you meet here are men, no offense to any men, but I think differently. I'm a woman. I think differently than a man. So hear from me. And they get stuck on, a lot of times that they don't necessarily agree with like the economics side of things, but we are totally aligned on a lot of these other things, but they don't even realize that a lot of times. It's like, hey, we're anti-war too, for the most part, right? Like, hey, we don't want to send people out and fight unnecessary wars. We're all about civil rights. We're all about getting the government out of our business. We don't care if you're gay. We don't care what you do in your bedroom. And those are the things that I have to communicate to people. On the Republican side, I think it kind of, I kind of spooked a few people that were, in Eric's camp in the beginning, because I came right out the gate and did an anti-ICE protest. And people did not like that because they're like, whoa, hold up, what is happening here? And I try to explain that the protest that I was doing was for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was a silent protest and everybody was afraid to do a protest because they were afraid that it was going to be problems, that somebody was going to get hurt, people were going to get arrested. And I'm like, no, we're going to have respectful signs. We're going to stand out there and we're going to be quiet and they're going to respect our rights. And believe me, they were out there watching us and filming us and there was police, but nobody bothered us. And it was mostly positive. And it was, no secret police. Why do they get to wear masks and treat people humanely? It wasn't even on the issue of whether or not people should be deported or not. It was, we need to know who our government is for full transparency, because we can't hold them accountable if we don't know who they are. So that's kind of been my take, like explaining to the Democrats and also trying to not freak out, the Republicans, who were, in Eric's camp before, by them thinking that I'm, potentially something other than what I'm not, right? By defining it by one thing. I'm like, well, I already did that protest. I got to own up to it. And it, that is what it is. Like, this is who I am, like it or not. And I said, I'm going to be in your corner though when we're talking about gun rights. So I'm here doing this, but I'm also fighting for our gun rights. So it's all your rights all the time, not some of them when it's convenient.
Well, I'm going to give you a little campaign tidbit here, and I'll tell you, if you're a true Southerner and you're okay with federal troops coming into your city by any metric that you could think of, you need to have your Southerner card revoked because your ancestors are pissed at you right now. So I'm going to move on. We got a comment here from the great Lars Mapstead, and I want to make sure everybody reads this one. Shout out to Lars. He's coming on next week. Marcus is the only actual libertarian, so just refer them all to him and said you can do that because I have
Marcus's phone number. Okay, like
yeah.
This is his cell.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I will have some choice words for you. So just go ahead if you ever have a question about libertarianism. Yeah, please feel free to reach out to me. So with that being said, yeah,
I was just gonna say, Marcus, if you don't mind putting up Addison's link to her page, maybe we could try and raise some dollars. Hey, Lars, this is for you. Whoever, and Addison's gonna have to confirm it. Whoever contributes the most because of this podcast to Addison's campaign tonight on the podcast, I'm gonna send them. Not this one because Marcus thought it's kind of gross. You wore it earlier in backstage. I have an extra hat. Just like this one, a throwback, a retro hat. I'm going to send to whoever contributes the most to Addison's campaign right now at this link. We'll have to have Addison confirm whoever it is and share their address if they're okay with it. Put in the comments here.
Yeah.
Whenever
Are
you
there any more
contribute,
of those? I should wear that to city council next time.
I'll send you one. How about that? Yeah.
That would
We'll
be
talk
awesome. And
offline.
please
That'd
take a
be
picture
epic.
so we can post it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I already have a big head, so thanks, D. So
it's adjustable. I got a big head. It's Velcro in the back. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, but whoever wants to give the most to Addison's campaign, put your dollar amount in the comments so that way the next person knows they got to outbid you for the hat. All right. With that being said, Marcus, if you want to take the reins for the next question, go ahead.
no, you can go ahead with yours because
All right.
I really miss Tub because he's in a mix with all of this stuff. And,
Yeah.
I want to send an unshout out to him for not being available tonight. You kind of made me mad. And, I'm shaking my fist in mild anger at you, Tub.
Shaking a fist. Old man shakes fist at sky. Anyways.
I got to say hi to him, and that was about it. I'm bummed that he's not here.
Yeah.
We had a really good conversation on Monday at our affiliate meeting.
Tub's
That's
awesome
good.
guy. I don't like
So,
saying that in public either. Yeah.
Let's talk about the race. Let's talk about the campaign. Let's talk about what do you think the threshold here is? First off, I haven't been paying too much attention, but how many candidates have qualified so far? Has qualification expired? 3 candidates. All right. You got you. I'm assuming there was a Republican, and you kind of mentioned because a bunch of the people that don't like me are endorsing said Republican. Is there a Democrat candidate as well?
There is. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
so this time
she got in. She got in the special election. She was not filed for the general. She was actually filed to run for another district in Jacksonville. I think it was District 12 on the west side.
Gotcha.
So she jumped in. I met her actually at the supervisor of elections, introduced myself, said congratulations, and shook her hand. She seems
Gotcha.
nice.
Had you ever met her before, or the other candidate, the Republican candidate before?
The Democratic candidate, I had not. I actually have met the Republican candidate a couple of times. It's actually a funny story.
Okay, I don't know if you want to tell the funny story.
Well, I can. Yeah. So the supervisor of elections had this great information session for candidates. And before I was just, fully decided that I was going to run, I attended this information session. Of course, I sit front and center, right? So I can see the screen. I'm ready to take notes. And then this lady sits down beside me. I didn't know who she was. And then it came out like who she was. and it was my opponent. But I had asked her a question about ICE and how ICE actually works in the jail. And then I made some comment about how I was confused why Jacksonville would ask for an additional layer of federal protection. And that made me think about whether or not our police were competent, because we needed to ask for an extra layer of protection. But I said, would you be willing to come talk to libertarians? Because I'm sure they would love to hear about this. And she gave me her card. And then, of course, I decided to run in that race. So did not follow up to ask her to come speak with us. But then I saw her at a community event where she spoke. And that was then I saw her tonight at the event where we spoke together.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool. Sounds like it's getting really competitive. Have you looked into how well voters turn out for special elections? Are you expecting it to help or hurt? Because it's kind of 2026. This special election is falling in a midterm year. So there might be more voters this year.
I think there's going to be more. The progressives are out door knocking to get people registered to vote. Like, they're out canvassing just to get people registered to vote, period. We're still about even. We've got about 5,000 more Democrats or so registered than Republicans. But of course, it's a very Republican dominated city council, 14-9. I expect, because of this race and everything else, like the controversy, everything is so partisan right now. I expect that there would be more people than usual turning out. People are turning out to these town hall events where, city hall, city council is getting more like busier, like more packed as the weeks go on. So people are starting to tune in. So yeah, I do expect there to be more of a turnout.
And just for my curiosity, are you still showing up to city council meetings on a regular basis? And when you do, are you just there to listen? Do you find a topic that is a boilerplate topic, or whatever you want to call it, and like a touchy subject? I'm the term escapes me, but are you speaking on hot topics, if you will, at city council meetings?
So yes, I'm going to city council. I think since I decided to run, I said I was going to go to every city council meeting, right? Unless there was an emergency. Well, one I didn't make because I was in a car accident on the way. The other one, I was extremely ill and did not want to pass that junk along. So I sat that out. So other than that, I've been everyone since I decided to run. And even before, I think I've spoken at every single city council meeting that I've been to. So it's, almost all of them. How I decide about what I'm going to speak, sometimes it's not until I get there and I see amendments to the agenda, or I see a big group of people show up for some particular cause. And I'm like, well, they're going to touch on this thing, and it's going to be pretty hardcore. So let me come over here and talk about something else that needs some attention. So, one time I asked for them to repeal a 6-cent gas tax. Gas was really expensive. It was over like $4, I believe, at that point. But it wasn't even just that. If you look into how the statute is written, the gas tax does not pay for anything old to be fixed. It's only new, which to me contributes to all of this crap in these areas, like where they just don't fix things, like the areas that need attention and they just continue to neglect them. So I didn't like that at all. If we can't use it to fix things and we can only build new shiny things to attract new, whatever in, it's like, I don't like that. So I asked for that to be gone. I asked for an emergency fund to be marketing fund to be made with tourism development dollars, the TDT fund, so we could keep small businesses open while the Jaguars go play in Orlando and, rack up all of that, tourist revenue while they play there, while our stadium's being rebuilt. So I call people out for bad stuff. I hype them up for good stuff. And I talk a lot about community and the good that we're doing.
Gotcha.
Damn, I was literally about to ask you about the stadium. I didn't know it had progressed to that point where
we're playing in Orlando in 2027.
Because they're going to knock down your current stadium and build a new one?
They're not knocking it down completely. They're redoing it. They're calling it the Stadium of the Future. It will still have a swimming pool, in case you're wondering. I know that was like top of mind for you, Marcus.
That's important to me.
Yes, I mean they spent like a gazillion dollars, taxpayer dollars. That's a technical term. And then now they're turning around and they want us to spend $35 million dollars on the it's a Culinary Institute of America, I believe. Like that was something that they proposed, and we're like, no. Like I understand it would be good for tourism, but I mean they can fund themselves.
Yeah.
Like they need to if they want to be here, then they should figure out how to get here. And it's the same thing. We just gave a bunch of money to Winn-Dixie, a large corporation, to stay here because food desert. Meanwhile, I'm working with some other people on this bill called Free to Garden that they're trying to get city council to pick up. And we just had a big win because we just got confirmation the other day that they want to schedule a community meeting to gauge interest in this. And this is something that will help with food deserts. This will help bring tourism in. This will be a model to other cities in Florida. And overall, it's just a really, really good thing. So I'm fully in support of that, doing something like that versus paying Winn-Dixie. If you don't want to be here, Winn-Dixie, bye. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Publix can hold it down. Buy Winn-Dixie.
Yeah.
They're building another Publix. Yeah.
I just want Free to know, I grew up in a house and we did have our pool was in ground, not like Free, who had the
bubble wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, the above ground pool that they got from Walmart or whatever.
What about the kiddie pools that they're not even really above ground? Your dog is just chilling there because it's like this much water. Are you judging me for that?
Yeah. Well, listen. Us Floridians are going to come for you because when I lived in my double wide on 1 acre off of Yellow Bluff Road.
Stop bragging about your land ownership.
Yeah, exactly. When I lived there, we definitely had our Walmart pool, but we got it for free. Okay, we didn't even buy
You stole it. That's all you people do is steal stuff.
Nah, my brother gave it to us because they got a bigger bubble wrapped in plastic. But anyways. We definitely had one. Now here we've picked up one of them little inflatable small ones. It's about 1.5 feet off the ground. My daughter didn't really enjoy it. It was really cold water. But we were like, we were super excited about it. And she just got there, like, I was like, whatever.
And
I digress. It was a lot of fun.
I just want to say one thing. I have reached out to Tub twice during this because I think he had great input. And he's going on Are You Smarter Than a Politician? I think next week is what they said. We'll figure that out. But I'm going to nuke his score at the last round. As a former contestant, I have that right. Terry said she's not going to accept it, but I'm going to nuke his score to make sure he's going to lose anyway. But
might need to rally some
troops. So Marcus, are you saying that actions have consequences?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wish government understood that a little bit better.
Well, I'm hoping that the voters of Jacksonville also understand that actions have consequences. So, Addison, whenever I was campaigning in Jacksonville, for some reason, I thought people cared about like ending corporate welfare, government money going to bailouts to corporations and special interests. I didn't win my election, so I guess that topic wasn't very popular. But does that ever get brought up at city council meetings by you or anyone else? Is anyone ever paying attention? Is the stadium thing a big deal anymore? Or because it's passed, people have moved on and given up, and the Four Seasons are going to get their money. Jags are going to get their money. Any other big major bailouts coming down the pipe there in Jacksonville?
I mean, there are people who were standing up against giving Winn-Dixie money for that. But that was pretty isolated. I haven't heard any, in corporate welfare statements too much. And the stadium, it's kind of like in the past for them. There was a morgue that was built in the Brentwood area, a new morgue. Mm-hmm. And that's been a really big thing. And people are still mad about that. They are not going to forget that. And I'm also, angry along with them on that and the way that was done. And what makes me the maddest, though, is they did that. And there's a 27,000 square foot, the old morgue, sitting there empty that we're paying carrying costs for when we need more beds for the homeless and all these other things. And it's like, I said this at city council. I said, can we please sell this to either UNF because it's, I'm sorry, UF Health, because it's right there on its medical campus. They can do whatever they want with it. Sell it to a nonprofit, lease part of it to a nonprofit. It could be used as a staging area for emergency preparedness when we have hurricane, whatever. Oh, shelter overflow. I don't know. It's got water in there, so people could take showers. They could rig it up. So it just seems to me like a huge waste. And Jacksonville should not be in the business of owning real estate like that. There's so many things that they own that we need to get off the books. And I keep bringing all of that up too, because again, affordable housing. We could sell those things. And then guess what? We're not collecting any property tax at all on houses that Jacksonville owns because they were foreclosed on or what have you. So we need to get those out and get them being useful for something instead of just becoming dilapidated and blight.
I love,
Yeah.
sorry, the deep dives that you do, Addison. You know what I mean? Is
that sarcasm? Because I can get verbose when I'm excited.
No. Like what
No.
I literally mean, like the fact that you have a list of and I'm assuming you got a list of city-owned properties that we're just paying taxpayers.
I've been looking into that. That is how we combat if this property. This is how I've been explaining to progressives how we combat if this property tax bill gets voted in. I said, please don't freak out. I said, I know one of the Republicans said the first thing that we're going to do is cut all the arts. I don't think that we're going to have to do that. I said, we've got all these other things on the books that we need to start getting rid of, but they just leached on to a couple of words that I said. And then I could just tell that they weren't really listening. It's like, I didn't even say whether or not I supported the property tax increase. And I said, people have to vote for it first. Right. But we need to be prepared. We need to plan for these things. Right. And so that's what my, solution is that we got to get all these things off the books in year one. And then we have more time to figure out what we're going to do in year two as more property tax revenue is taken away from our budget. And, my first thing is I feel like the police are just not that effective. So, maybe we should just, go there and, find some positions that could be done contract wise that are not affiliated with the pension plan, because that is so much. And that will be, in the future when they start dipping into that, that's like the biggest line item on our budget is public safety and those pension plans. So you can do those a different way.
Now, let me ask you, when you get elected, what are your top 3 things on your legislative agenda?
That's a good question, because I feel like I've just been focusing so much on, the housing, the development and the public safety and trying to get public records requests and look through data that I think I will know when I get a little bit closer to that, because I want to have a structured plan on these are that's the properties, right? That's one thing that's really big on me is to get rid of these properties. Well, I guess I lied. Right. Because I guess I do have a plan. The homelessness piece of it, I have a plan for that. And to me, that is a private charity thing. And I was talking to some people who have done some work with the homeless, and we just need somebody to buy a structure or rent a structure. And we have a whole thing planned. They can check messages there. They can do a load of laundry there. They make appointments to do that. They can get some clothes. They can check their snail mail if they need to, because, everybody needs a physical address. And when you're homeless, that's a huge barrier. They can meet with, representatives of certain services or whatever there. So I would love to have a brick and mortar, just like this example that I saw in Washington, D.C. that they do. And they actually do that for the sex worker and addict community as a harm reduction mechanism. They provide fentanyl testing strips and clean needles, ways to dispose of sharps, things like that. And I'm not suggesting that we take it that far initially. I'm just saying this is a way to get people some basics and give them some dignity back, while they're hopefully getting their life together and can go search for work. just to make it a little bit easier for them, funded by private dollars. It can be done.
Yep.
Mm.
There's enough
Eric?
churches, nonprofits in the community that they could all get involved, do a way better job than the Claire White Mission does, but they do a important role there. But I'd like to see it decentralized, and I'd also like to see taxpayer funding quick going to nonprofits that city council members are associated with. So whenever I was running, there were like 14 of the how many ever people at the time were in office were on the boards of of nonprofits receiving taxpayer money. And all they would do is they would recuse themselves from the vote. And it was a lame duck round robin. Each one of them would vote for each other's nonprofit, and they would all get their taxpayer funded checks to their respective nonprofits. Is that still a problem happening in Jacksonville City Council?
Well, considering it's mostly like the same people. I mean, when I was doing my research, it appeared that there were people who were on other city council members' boards, or that they worked for the other city council members' organizations. So that adds a whole additional layer of scrutiny to things. Again, considering we've got 2 people under investigation, and then there's all of this stuff. It's just very, very much, and it goes very deep, I believe. And the issue that I'm having right now with people coming after me, it's because I'm getting close.
Yep.
I'm getting too close, and this cuts off their power. So, if I get closer,
you are over the target. Before I ever filed for city council, I was up there speaking against the special interests and this, that, and the other. Actually, it was after I filed, but I was speaking at every city council meeting before I filed.
Mhm.
And my sitting city councilman at the time, Alfredo, he reached out to me, and he actually was like, called me when I filed. He was like, just so you know, a lot of people there, not me, but a lot of people feel like you're stepping on their toes. You're raising awareness, and you're shining a light on problems that they don't want to be seen. And he wasn't trying to intimidate me and tell me I shouldn't run. He was, I believe, seriously trying to warn me about like what could happen, all the negative attacks, potential lawsuits, the fines that I eventually did get for signage and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So be prepared. Raise as much money as you can. Marcus, put the link up there, because I guarantee you they're going to keep coming for you. I don't know how much of that you want to get into, but Marcus,
I would love to get into that. Actually, I would love to get into that. I wanted to say first, though, regarding the District 2 council member who, his name is Mike Gay. People ask me, Addison, why would you run? You've never run for office before. Why would you run for an at-large seat and not for a district seat? And my answer was, I'm not going to challenge anyone who I actually think is doing the job they're supposed to be doing. I'm not a Republican. Mike Gay, I don't agree with like every single vote of his, but I believe that he carefully thinks things through. He holds town halls. He's a man of few words, right? But of impact. And, I don't even think that he particularly cares for me too much, probably, but I have a lot of respect for him. And I would never run against somebody that I felt could do a better job than me. So that's why I'm running in the seat that I'm running for against the opponent that I'm running against, because it's just really that important.
Well, Eric,
we've had Mike Gay on this show, Marcus. I don't even remember. He was the redneck city councilman from Jacksonville. You know what I mean? That's really Mike Gay is he's a conservative Republican. There's no beating around it. There were things we disagreed on, but there were a lot that we agreed on. I don't agree with all of his votes since he's been in office, but of everyone on that city council, what is it? How many people? 17, 19 seats? 19 seats. He's the only one that I think isn't establishment for now. We got a chance to change that. I don't know. You got anyone else? You got anyone else that's okay? Maybe disagree with politically, but you don't think they're establishment?
I do believe that there's more than just Mike, and I also know that there are people who are well funded per se, but are not necessarily falling in line with like typical establishment practices. And I don't want to lump people in and give them like a bad rap. Like they can't help it if they're popular and people are donating money. Like I don't think that I don't perceive them as doing anything nefarious or, you know, anything. I have experienced people helping me out. Like I've called people out on their stuff and they've still helped me out and been nice. Like I called them out. I was live tweeting essentially from a city council meeting and they turned the microphone off on somebody. And I was like, oh, hell no. They just turned the microphone off. They're squashing free speech. And then the next day that city council member was on the news, like, sorry, you know, like, because he knew he messed up. I think immediately after that, it's like, you know, you can't do that. And we already had an issue with people being arrested and charged with felonies from last year for speaking up in city council. You know, they told him, be quiet. This guy got flipped over a row of seats. You know, it was this whole dramatic thing that I wasn't there for, and I have not seen the full video. But regardless of what happened, people are very up in arms about it, and people are still talking about that today. So Democrats and Republicans and Libertarians all agree free speech is important. FAFO.
That was a well-seasoned hell no and neck roll you did right there. I want to give you a shout out for that. That was well melanated. Free says he already donated. Huge fan of Addison.
Today or before today?
Did he donate to? I don't know. I've been looking at y'all and not my phone.
Yeah, don't look at your phone yet. I mean, you can. I don't care. I was just gonna say.
I don't want to call him out. You know.
I would. We love to call him out. That
I need Free to post his address and name so we can get him Eric's hat. Yeah. So Free, go ahead in the comment section, post your address where we can send this to, and you know,
Free donated for ballot access.
Yes, he
did.
Not
good enough to get this hat, Free.
That's not good enough.
Hat?
Yeah. We'll take
right now.
To the people who are thinking about donating, you got to understand something. Every dollar counts. So don't be afraid to send $5, $10, $15, $20, because all those little ones add up to something bigger. There, you know, this is like ants. You know, one ant by itself is nothing, but when you get 50 ants, you know, a grasshopper's done. You know, that's the thing. Yeah. So we have to be able to put our money where our memes are, because I haven't said that yet. I also want to say, you know, coming from the 4th largest economy in the world and being the son of a deacon, it makes me the perfect libertarian, because I understand a lot of aspects of economics and social interactions from my background. And that's one of the reasons I'm a libertarian. I get a lot of crazy comments. I was telling Eric earlier, I get called all kinds of interesting names with the hard R every week. And I'm like, damn, you're calling me that, and I still want you to be free. I still want you to have the best liberty that mankind could ever have, free from government. And that's the beautiful part about being a libertarian is, you know, even people that you disagree with, even people that you may not like personally, if you're not willing to stand up for their liberty, you're not supporting or protecting your own. Let's see. We're gonna, as we start to, Marcus gets called names on my Liberty page. So this is from D. Marcus gets called names on my Liberty page if I share his. I was like, yeah, go ahead, do that.
D did have another question, wondering if you got the PayPal figured out. We don't got to put the comment up there, but I think she
not yet. I think I'm going to try that with my account EIN, because PayPal and I had an issue years ago and they didn't pay out something. And so I told her I wasn't going to use them unless I could do it through the EIN. I don't know if it would go through, but I'm going to try.
Marcus, put that one up from free that you just had up there. The fourth largest economy. I can't read it. It's all blurred out. There you go. What's this? Fourth largest economy in third place on our starter and the politician. What's that all about, Marcus?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Free babbles on about it. He's probably been drinking again.
Free. I just want you to know I'm proud to have helped him get that third place because I did not get.
And would you please tell everybody what I called you and Tub in our group chat? Traitors. That's at any rate. So Addison, as we start to wrap this up, I'm gonna let Eric do his closing question / comment thing, and then I'll do mine, and then we're going to ask you where the people can reach out to you, help you, social medias, and all that good stuff. So, Eric, go ahead.
Well, Addison, I just wanted to give you, is there any topic that we should have asked you about that we didn't?
That's a great question, Eric. I'm glad you asked that. So, for everybody who's listening and watching, listening after the fact, the Republican Executive Committee of Duval County has filed a lawsuit against me. They are suing me to get me off the ballot. Now, while I can't go into everything just yet because of ongoing litigation, I will say that we do anticipate that we will emerge victorious on this. And additionally, there will be a countersuit. I can't go into that right now either, but there will be legal fees. I was talking to my attorney today. So please donate to help me cover some of those legal fees so we can fight this. I'll also say, like, we do believe that there is a constitutionality thing to question here, and I'm not backing down on that. It's too hard for third parties to come to play, in all of these politics. And, if there's an opportunity, if it seems like it's falling on my shoulders here to handle this, and I'm going to handle it I'm going to take it as far as I can take it financially, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really excited, nervous, all of these things to move forward with this, but it is necessary. I had a feeling that something like this was going to happen because I was warned. There's so many key players here. I just want to say too, I'm not mad at all Republicans. I have Republicans who are helping me. This is not about Republicans. This is about the establishment here in this case. And this is about people who are really just trying to hold on to grab all the power that they possibly can. For reference, my opponent has raised over $80,000 and has 10 city council endorsements and endorsement from the sheriff. She's 35 years retired from law enforcement, which some people say, if you've been in the government that long, you have no business being a public servant. Some people say that. And, I have been out here, I've raised about $3,000 ish or what have you. I was able to get qualified for the ballot, and I'm out here doing a lot of these things independently. I'm my own campaign treasurer, I'm boots on the ground. Eric knows, you're essentially running your own operation for the most part, and it's a lot of hard work. And nobody said that it would be easy. And I know that, and I'm taking it on, but I'm just saying, like Marcus said, $5, $10, all those things, do help and are much appreciated. So if you can donate, share these things. I'll be making more official announcements in the coming days as well. But because as of, before my meeting earlier, the fact that the GOP did not mention this lawsuit, that they don't want me to be part of the conversation. So we need to make sure that I'm continuing to be part of the conversation. I intend to stay on this ballot, and we're going to take it as far as we can go, and we'll be back again, baby, in 2027. I'm not going anywhere.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
And I was going to say, hell yeah. I was going to do a follow-up question. If you were still going to run in 2027, you answered that. So great. Marcus, go ahead.
I have nothing else to say to that because that was so fiery. I want to punch somebody. That was like some hardcore shit. I was like, oh, you got a problem? But that was I was telling Eric, I've hardly met any bad libertarians. I've
Well,
met a couple. I've met a couple.
I think I said she's pretty cool. Like when we
Yeah, you
sent
did.
you backstage before we went live, he was like, most libertarians are. And I mean, like, I genuinely feel that way. Like, if you really get to know us, like, and you
Yeah.
know, Addison and I might not agree on everything. We might not vote 100% of the same if we were on the same city council, but I bet it'd
Yeah.
be 97% of the time we'd agree. And the other stuff is probably, you know,
And that's what's cool about
Yeah.
libertarians, because you can't get a Democrat and a Republican to agree on what day it is. The only thing they agree with each other is spending more money, going to war, and keeping the system the exact same way that brought them into power. And that's where Americans need to take a hard look at libertarians, because you're voting for the same shit over and over again and expecting different results
Yeah.
as the very definition of insanity. And that's why I have a problem with public education. That's a whole nother episode. But can you tell the people where they can find you and get to know you better via your social medias?
Sure. So yeah, on my website, addisonlibertypatrick.com, all of my socials are listed, as well as some of my YouTube videos as well. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got more to put up there, but I've been trying to post, you know, at least the really good city council comments that I feel are good and relevant. So, you know, I tell people the proof is in the pudding, right? When they meet me out, if they're like, I don't know, libertarian, you know, LIB, that sounds like a liberal, you know, if they're conservative, or, you know, I'm not really sure, I hear, you know, insert rumor here. It's like, well, you know, that's fair. I know that we're just meeting, but go check me out and watch and see for yourself. Ask around about me, because I'm getting introduced as, you know, Addison is someone who speaks at city council. That's how the people in the community are introducing me. And I take that to a compliment of the highest degree, because they see the work that I'm doing out here.
I really appreciate that, because one of the things I've always felt about libertarians is we're letting other people define us. And when you go out there and you make yourself known, you're defining yourself. And that's what I just got distracted, because I'm kind of pissed off. We got a comment here. Where's Tub? He really makes the show. Keep it down in the cheap seats, brother. Because I told you, I don't care when you come on, and you have time to post here. But
no, he don't. We're not gonna let him come on. You just sit there and you watch and you wish you were here.
Then we have another comment by one of the best people I've talked to this week. Yeah, really abandoned me. And he did. You know, I was like, I was asking everybody, hey, obviously you guys are in the same city, formerly Eric, currently Tub. Do you know her? And then when I Googled your name, I clicked on images and I see a picture of with Tub, and I was like, okay, then this
LNC picture with Stephen Nikala and all that.
Yeah. So I was all excited about this episode, and you know, what did we get from Tub today? Disappointment. And I'm not saying that's outside of the normal Tub. You know, that's why I like Ryan Woodcraft more than Tub, because when Ryan says he's going to come on, you know,
I'll say this. Maybe there's a reason why Tub wasn't allowed to speak at that speaking engagement today, and that's because
don't do that. I will say this. I am finally, I think, understanding Tub's sense of humor. So I appreciate him more. I think we have a good understanding now. So yeah.
And to free, if you're going to properly say AOL, it's AOLs. You have to say that. Yeah, you can't say
only you elderly folks
like Walmart. We're going to the Walmarts.
I forgot what movie it was on, but like some lady was like, I can't get on my AOLs. So us of a certain distinction, remember when we used to get 14 AOL CDs in the mail per month?
Yes. I remember that. I was on dial-up. I am older, Marcus. I know.
I like of age and of distinction better than older, but
Listen,
at
I
any rate,
remember AOL. I
wiser,
thought it
I'll
was
take
the
it.
only way you could get the internet.
I mean, if you've never heard the dial-up sound, you have no bearing on anything you could tell me, because we've been through it all and getting yelled at because get off the internet. I got to use the phone.
Use the phone. Yes.
At any rate, do you have a closing statement or a voter pitch that you would like to say?
Yes. Again, Addison Liberty Patrick. I'm running for Jacksonville City Council at-large Group 1 in the special election and in 2027. I would love to hear from you. I would love your vote, and I would love your financial support, like, comment, share on all of the things. And I hope to meet you out in person because I would love to shake your hand. That's it. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you. Eric, thank you for your diligence and making sure you showed up, unlike Tub. Addison, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on our podcast. Thank you for the honor of bringing your message of liberty to the people of Jacksonville. I hope Jacksonville realizes that you have their best intentions in mind, and your best intentions is less government, because government, this is not Addison's words, these are mine, but government isn't necessarily your friend. And we need to keep that in mind when we're voting for people that are going to put flock cameras and all kinds of other stuff to track your movements. So thank you very much. We're going to close out with this comment because this is a great comment. Addison is so great. Good luck at it. Thank you very much to everybody who watched, listened, and participated. You are the real ones. Big shout out to you all. Thanks, big dogs. This has been the Black Powder Podcast. I'm Marcus Matthews, the only real libertarian. My guy, Eric Parker, Bold Liberty. Please go to Addison's website. One last time, I'm going to post that. And, oh man, having some technical difficulties. Please go to AddisonLibertyPatrick.com. There's a prominent donate button. Click it and give what you can, because every little donation counts. With that being said, this has been a Black Powder Podcast. Addison, do you know our going away slogan by any chance? No. With that being said, as we always end this podcast, live free or
die.